Welcome back to another podcast episode with us, the European ambassadors from Likia Iulia Katamias. We are doing actions in order to present the ideology of the EU. So today we have a very special guest that Nicolas will present to us.
We have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Salvatore Nigro, the CEO of JA Europe. Thank you so much for being able to be here with us.
Thank you to you. Thank you to all of you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure.
So to start, can you please tell us a bit about yourself? How did you become the JA CEO, for example, of Europe?
Well, I always was passionate about empowering the next generation. Since I was young, I always thought that those who were coming afterwards should look at the legacy that those who came before them and what kind of work they have prepared for them. So since my early age, I first wanted to become a diplomat and join the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But then it was not really my passion because it was too much of a structural institution. So I really wanted to see change happening right there. So I started working with different organizations in Sub-Saharan Africa, in the United States, in the Middle East and North Africa, to empowering young people, whether to have a job, whether to start their own company, whether to be very active in the communities. And this is why I ended up, after a long journey across the world, to JA, Junior Achievement in Europe, the leading organizations that is impacting every year over 6 million young people in over 40 countries, empowering them on what? On entrepreneurship, work readiness, and financial literacy.
Wow. How do you cope with all the responsibilities that your job has to offer and problems you may face?
Problems are part and challenges are part of our daily life. Well, actually, this is also what makes it life interesting. I mean, I was never someone who wanted to have a 9-to-5 jobs and get bored out of it. I wanted to see that whatever I was doing it would have had an impact into society. So if you want to change things, you have to just recognize that it's never going to be a very straight line. The road is going to be very, very bumpy, but you have your why you want to do things. So no matter what happened, focus on your why. My why is to empower the next generations. So I had this long-term strategic objective, understanding that challenges are there, understanding that priorities might change during the course of action, understanding that the environment in which I'm working is also going to affect the way I can do things. But what is not going to affect is why I'm doing things. And I'm doing it because I truly believe that Europe needs a new generation of entrepreneurs. Europe needs a new generation of young people who will succeed in their career and give back to their communities. So it will take time. It will continue to take time, but I'm sure we're going to get there.
So to put a little bit the Europe and the entrepreneurship into our discussion, I'd like to ask you if you believe that Europe is good for young entrepreneurs compared to another continent, and therefore what advantage does the Europe have for business?
We are halfway through. We're halfway through. We are not probably the best continent that is incentivizing innovations, but we're not far behind. But what we have to look, it's not where are we today. We need to look, we as European, we as, and you as European youth, which Europe you want to build in the next few years, in which Europe you and your kids will need to live. Do we want a Europe that incentivate innovation, is open up, it's risk taker, invests into education? Because how can we empower the next generation if other continents are instead incentivizing innovation and education? So we need to put education and innovation at the top of any maker's agenda. They need to invest resources into the young people. They need to allow them a free space also to fail, because too often the failure of an entrepreneur is also defined as a failure of a person. That's not true. That's not what we believe. An entrepreneur, to be successful, will also need to fail, need to learn from the mistakes, need to learn what worked and what didn't work in order to then succeed. So there have been significant changes during the past few years. We saw also that the European Commission has opened up quite significantly in providing an open space for innovation and open and common educational areas where the young people can feel themselves home wherever they are. Now, it's a responsibility of all, the decision maker, the private sector, the civil society, and most importantly, individuals like you, to say, I believe in this change. It's true, we are a whole continent. But if you really want to design the future, look at your past. If you really want to go to the moon, have your feet down into the ground. We have our feet on the ground. We have a great past. Let's now design the future and get to the moon.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. I want to ask you, because we have experienced our part for the entrepreneurship environment with our team Nutriga from Cyprus, and we participated in the Jenny contest in Estonia. And we want to tell you, what are the key ingredients for somebody to succeed in such a competitive field? And how can a business stand out from a crowd full of innovative ideas?
Well, I remember you very well last year at Gen E. Very well, we are in preparation of Gen E 2023 and even Gen E 2024. Remember, Gen E is the leading entrepreneurship event that is organized by JA Europe across Europe, where over 370,000 young people compete across the year, and the national finalist comes to the Gen E final, as you did last year. So how you as an entrepreneurs are going to convince judges, how you as an entrepreneur fits into the competition, how you want to stand out. Well, obviously, innovation is very important, but it's not all. The business plan, the financing is very important. It's not all. Those things that are necessary, the way you're marketing your product, it's necessary. It's not all. You can stand in each and one of those, but if you're missing your why, if you're missing why you're really creating that company, what are you going to position yourself? Then you are not able to convince the judges and you're not able to convince the clients. You need to make your why emerging it. You saw a societal problems and you say, this solution is standing out because we believe that it's providing a response to a challenge that we see out there. We're responding to a needs that we see it out there. So your why, it's fundamental. Then a company can create thousands of products that they can offer thousands of services. But remember, when you do it with your why, then you're definitely going to stand out.
Mm-hmm. So I can imagine that as the CEO of JA Europe, you have traveled to many European countries and you have seen so many companies and startups, right? So what was your favorite invention you have seen so far, the most innovative?
Oh, there have been so many. I remember from Cyprus, there was someone creating a bracelet with the young people who had the hearing impairing in the past. It was addressing very good societal challenges. We had someone from Greece swim me, I remember, also with people who had vision impairing to swim freely thanks to artificial intelligence. I'm so thrilled to see how young people are addressing problem of the society, also using a technology. This is something that really triggers me, because, you know, not when I was 16 years old, we were doing this. Now technology is available to all, but the way you are applying technology is different from country to country. The way you're applying technology will make a difference into resolving a societal problem. So when I see those kind of companies, I like it very much, because they're not really thinking of how do I succeed as an entrepreneur myself, but how I do succeed as an entrepreneurial team, and how our idea, it's not only good for the business, it's also good for society.
Oh, that's actually crazy. And we believe that the future is bright. So I want to ask you a last question. For many young men and women out there trying to live their dream and pursue a better future for Europe, can you please tell us advice that you will give personally to those young people?
I'll give you the advice that my mother gave it to me, which are 3. Number 1, think big. If you don't think big, you will never achieve big things. Number 2, don't take a no as an answer. Continue knocking at doors. Be resilient. Don't take a no as an answer. And number 3, give back. Because if you're thinking big and you're not taking no as an answer, you'll be successful. But then it's your time to give back to the next generation of young people.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. We're so thankful for you being here and for giving these great advices to the younger generation. We hope our society will remember these things and we can get better as humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And congratulations on the podcast. Amazing. You're very amazing.